The 500 console is dead. New gen console. Oh boy, folks. Oh boy. I think we probably could. We knew this was kind of coming. We just really didn't know when it was. I can't remember how much the consoles were back then. I think it was still around like that 200. It was around like 299, 399. And each generation, when that new console comes, it does always increase by that $100, or it depends on whatever stores that you want. So I think this was a little bit expected, but I think with AI have been now of what it is and all the tech used for AI, it just put a hard number on just the equipment needed to make these consoles, man. And it's kind of honestly like they're still a business, and we can't forget there's still a business on their side. They can't forget that we are just gamers, and we just like to play the game. And look, we will play a game for 6 to 8 hours, but now it's like it's the new job. So I get why it is going up and how it is moving forward with gaming, that everybody is streaming and you could potentially bring in an income from streaming. So I feel them on that, man. I really do. Y'all also, real quick, double check to see if you are subscribed so you do not miss the live gaming, the game reviews, and the latest updates that is happening in the gaming industry. Let's watch it. Woo! Hello.
Welcome back to Next Gen Console Watch, our show following the latest gaming hardware. I'm Damon Hatfield, and this week I'm joined by Max Scoville from Podcast Beyond and IGN Senior Manager, Hardware Content, Bo Moore. We've talked a lot about how the cost of gaming this generation has been going in the wrong direction. Man. Both the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X launched in 2020 at $500. Not quite 6 years later, a PS5 with a disc drive costs $650.
That's how much it was?
Pro costs $900. An Xbox Series X
all about
with
the
a
Pro.
disc drive is $800.
I really did.
And a Series S with just 512 gigs of storage is $500. Nintendo Switch 2 launched last year at $450. It will go up to $500 next month. The recently launched Steam Machine costs $1,000 without a controller and just 512 gigs of RAM. The 2 terabyte model
That's
with
wild
a controller
to even
costs
say.
over $1,400.
We ain't even getting controllers now, boy.
Op-ed about all this, in which he correctly notes that this is an absolutely terrible time to be in the market for a new gaming console.
Yeah,
or
it
PC.
is, man. Oh my gosh.
But worse than that, he doesn't think there is any way back to the $500 console, at least for anyone but Nintendo.
Oh, man.
Bo, could you explain why you don't think there is hope for a return to console affordability?
Yeah, so first we have to talk a little bit about how we got here, which is, it all started with the COVID-19 pandemic. Supply chains were messed up all over the place, and basically when we launched the consoles in 2020, there were shortages. It was really hard to get one. It took almost 2 years or more before you could just buy a PS5.
You know
off
what,
the
man?
shelf.
That's how it was with everything, which is crazy, though. I feel like that when COVID did happen, now everybody want to have the best up-to-date equipment, because now most people still work from home. Like a lot of my clients, man, they're working from home, and they gotta have those good cameras and that good quality mic so they can actually hear without things cutting off, without the video stuttering and all that stuff. So yeah, the equipment was crazy, and that wasn't just with electronics. That I remember we was opening up when I opened up the gym, dude, we could not get dumbbells. Like the dumbbells, especially if you wanted those halfway ones of like the 7.5 and the 12.5, like those things didn't even exist. And then we had, there was at a certain point, and I know I'm getting off topic a little bit, but there was at a certain point that even, I remember with the bike, there was a certain bike that people was buying, and they were buying them up a storm, and they was trending. And then they were like, okay, let's make a whole bunch of them. Dude, they made a whole bunch, had a lot in stock. And then right when COVID kind of ended, everybody stopped buying. And now they're just overly stocked with this bike. And it was like, man. And hopefully, I don't think it's going to go like that with the tech. But if it did go like that with the tech, then we could see a major price drop. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, especially with AI.
You had to go and find resellers or find stock alerts to be able to buy one. So this meant that, 2 years in, we were still paying full price, if not scalper price, for a new console.
You really were.
That started to ease up about 2 to 3 years
joke,
in,
man.
But then came tariffs, and tariffs drove up the prices of everything.
Yeah.
This was what caused Nintendo to launch at $450 instead of $400. It caused, I believe, the first of the if there wasn't an immediate price rise of the PS5 and the Series X, they certainly weren't coming down in price. You know, normally we would
That's
start to
true.
see things trickle down via a slim console.
Yeah, I don't
or
know if it's
holiday
gonna trickle down
discounts.
now.
We didn't really get much of that. But that too, we almost could have gotten through it, I think. Tariffs eventually, in theory, get rescinded. But then came the chip shortage, and now we are dealing
Yep.
with the AI data center build out that is affecting the price of everything because RAM chips are in pretty much all of our electronics. It's the
Yeah.
RAM that is used to make graphics cards, to make CPUs, to make your storage, and of course the RAM itself.
I'm curious to
And
know
so
how
now
much.
what a RAM
I'm curious to know. I'm sure there's a video out on it. I'm curious to know how much it does cost them to make a full console or device that is able to go ahead and play video games. Because you would think, because even still, then when you're a company, you still get that corporate rate. So for whatever piece that they're probably paying for a chip, let's say they're paying probably around like $50. They retail it to us. When they sell it to us, they are at least trying to make a profit, so they double that thing. So I am curious to know. I'm sure there's probably
stick
they
that
might not
usually-
say it how much a
that
console
would have
actually
cost
costs to make.
maybe $100 before, a relatively insignificant portion of an overall PC build or a
Okay,
console.
here we are.
That's now $300, $400, $600 potentially. And so you have these pieces of hardware that are just way, way, way more expensive than they should have been.
Yeah.
Now, the problem with anything returning to normal is that it's not going away anytime soon. The RAM shortage is expected to last well into 2028.
Easy.
If not longer. And so by the time we get to any type of approaching normalcy in terms of supply chains and availability of hardware, availability of these chips, we're looking at, 2028, 2029 maybe. And by then, we're going to have been basically used to paying these higher prices.
That is true, man. Because, like, on the consumer side, we're like, well, just make more. But then you look, it sounds like it will be a simple solution. But to make more, that means you must have to spend more. So, therefore, when they spend more, they need to go ahead and collect money. Cause they have to make their money right back to keep spending more. And then those that are selling it, who what we like to call is the plug, if the plug is selling it, the plug is like, oh, wait a minute. You need these. Let me go ahead and jack that up a little bit. And now we got to look at the plug and be like, okay, now where's the plug getting it from? There's another plug, a higher top of the food chain plug, where it's like, yeah, you want this? You're going to have to pay this. So, and the prices of, I don't want to say it's greed or anything like that, but it's around that side that everybody got to make their money. And then when you know that there's a shortage of it, and you're the only one that supplies, especially a good quality of whatever product that you're trying to get, that is almost universal for most games, can go ahead and make their game top tier, the console top tier. You're like, oh yeah, we're going to charge you a good bit for that, 100%, because everybody wants it.
Even if all of those various factors work themselves out and everything, at that point, people will have been used to paying $700, $800 or more for their consoles, and I just don't see Sony or Microsoft having any incentive to go way back down, because inflation is here to stay, and it is not.
That's true, man.
When inflation goes down, it's not the price is going down; it is the rate at which they are increasing, returning to a normal rate.
Straight up.
And so, with high inflation, the prices they're just moving up too quickly, and
yeah, it's hard for us to keep up with it, man.
I just don't see a world where there's any incentive for these companies to price their things low, and they're not going to be able to, because the hardware, all of the hardware underneath them is that much more expensive.
Is that the VR?
Yeah, we
is
actually
Steam
just
VR?
put up an article as we're recording this that reportedly 2027's memory capacity is already sold out now. So definitely not easing up over the next year or so.
Goodness, man.
Bo, I guess what my concern is, yeah, I think it is realistic that the prices they're not going to come down, but I don't think it's because people are going to get used to paying $1,000 for consoles. I don't think most people can afford $1,000 for consoles.
Nah, man.
Which creates a pretty bad situation for the industry, which could lead to a crash. So I'd be curious to hear your thoughts. Like, I don't really see consumers getting used to
it's crazy, man, to know that just to play a video game, to get a console nowadays, man, you could potentially miss out on a meal, bruh. Like, you're not paying something. Like, you have to save up now, man. And I think now we're in a place more than ever that financial literacy is almost like the biggest thing that you must have in this economy right now, man. With inflation and everything, and prices going up, with food. When I went to the grocery store, man, I seen that they have a pricing thing that is like digital, and they could change it whenever they want. So when it's a high traffic coming up in there, where they could either jack up the prices or lower the prices and make people feel good about it. And then you have profiles now that when you go in and buy stuff, they might be like, oh yeah, you can afford this. So they might crank up that price a little bit when it does scan on your end. Like, who knows how that's going to go. But yeah, man, to know that you may miss a meal or you may not pay your mortgage to pay for a system is crazy, man. That there's somebody out there that's like, screw it, I'm gonna get me a system. I'm just not gonna eat this month. Like, I got some noodles.
I don't think they can't. At least
talking about old school gaming, boy. Pizza rolls and noodles.
100 plus million unit sales for a console generation.
Yeah, I think by then, I'm sure we'll see discounts and a $500 or cheaper price on maybe the Series X and the PS5, because by then we're going to be talking about the PS6 and Project Helix and whatever these
ain't nobody about to get that PS6, man.
End up being.
Some people gonna get it.
I think the real question is, what are those consoles going to be, and what type of performance levels do they target? Because if we can't afford, if this is how much it costs to create a console that was built 5 years ago, 6 years ago now,
man.
What the next gen is going to be all that much more powerful in theory, and if it is that much more powerful, then it's going to require that much more of a hardware commitment to just for the price of the underlying hardware inside of it. It's well known that the consoles they're the best bang for your buck in terms of price to performance right when they come out, because they are a new generation. There's a generational leap in what they're capable of doing.
And that's what really sucks about it, man, is that when all these new games come out, they're going to go ahead and want to make these games up to date on the latest console. So when you have, like, thank goodness GTA 6 is coming out while the PS5 and the Xbox and stuff is, still in that place where it's kind of affordable, but it's going up, because all the new ones that they are creating has to be able to play GTA 6. Like, they're going to go ahead and create a system that fits the highest performing or most anticipated game, man. I know it's just like when working out and making my programs for my classes, I have to make the program suitable for the most fittest in the room. And that's pretty much, I feel like, how the logic is on theirs is that it only makes sense that if they make a console that can perform at the highest of games, the most anticipated game, it surely is going to go ahead and be able to play all the rest of the games. But for that, do know it's just going to be a nasty hit of the affordable of whatever console someone plans to buy, man. It's going to be nasty.
At least in years past, the console makers have been willing to basically they take a loss on the hardware itself, because they owned the ecosystem, and they were willing to make that back in software over the course of the lifetime of that console.
That's true.
But the thing is we're now going closer to these open markets. Microsoft is putting its game on PlayStation consoles. PlayStation, at least, they're keeping their stuff locked down, but more and more stuff is available on PC. Nintendo, again, it's kind of doing its own thing. And so that's what I wonder is, I agree that people can't just, there's not going to be a market for $1,000 consoles.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is there is a market for a $900 PS5 and PS5 Pro.
Yeah.
And there is a market for $1,600 GPUs. The price of graphics cards went up significantly over this period of time because of all the things that I mentioned, as well as they also saw these the booms in cryptocurrency that created massive GPU shortages in 2018 and 2020, and then of course through all the stuff that I just mentioned. Yeah. And each time that happened, people got used to paying scalper prices. They didn't like it, but people were buying them.
They were buying it, man.
Came out of those graphics.
I'll tell you, man, that is probably one thing, and I'm pretty sure I'm friends with one that I know when I was trying to get my PlayStation 5 and I was trying to get the Xbox Series X, I swear I could tell you that one of the guy that I was getting out from, like, he was able to order those things like it was nothing, man. Like, when that PS5 first came out, you was on that wait list, and I mean, you refreshed that thing, trying to make sure that when they said that they were going to drop the fresh new batch at Best Buy, you had to have that money ready in your account, ready. I mean, you had to have it in your cart to buy. And there was times where it's just like you would have it in your cart, you would go through the whole processing, click confirm, that thing will load up, and it'll be like sold out. And it was crazy how that was. That when my boy, I don't know, one of my homies, when he was doing it, he was getting those things like it was nothing. I'm like, where you get? And he wasn't even charging me the extra service fee of him getting it. He was like, bro, I'm gonna get you them. You want them? You just give me the money of what it regularly costs. And I think he actually might have charged me like $50. He wasn't looking to gain that much. But when he was probably selling them, when he was grabbing them, he probably was jacking up with another 200, and people would buy them, especially around that Christmas time. Folks was buying those things like it was the last holy grail, man. It was nuts.
It wasn't fully at the inflated scalper price, but it was also not as cheap as the generation before.
Okay, Max, let's bring you in here. What's your reaction to the thesis that the $500 PlayStation is over, and can the PlayStation business remain healthy at this?
It ain't going down. It definitely ain't going down.
Optimistically, I would love to say that Sony reads the room and sees that there are a whole lot of people who will pay $500 for a console, but not as many who are willing to shell out $900. The problem here is it's just a barrier to entry. You know, Sony has these amazing games that are exclusive to PlayStation consoles, but they're not really churning them out at a quick enough clip that I think it justifies, you know, the price of admission for the next gen of console. I just don't really feel like we need PS6 right now. Like, I don't think we're there for it.
No, that's real.
I mean, we've seen the price of
no,
the
100%.
PS5
I
go
think
up.
that's real.
The kind of running theme at the beginning of the console generation was the fact that there's nothing on there that really justifies.
Did they say when the
PS6
PS6 is coming out?
Games were either cross-platform or people were still playing PS4 games, and yeah, I mean the PS5 Pro came along, and so far I haven't really seen a strong case to even grab one of those. So I'm really wondering what a PlayStation 6 could even do to, you know, entice me, let alone justify a massive price tag that it's probably
straight up though.
It really just seems like it's veering towards being a luxury item rather than
it really is. What he's saying, man, he's speaking big facts, because a lot of people, I feel like, even with me, I've been playing a lot more older games that now of the newest games, and a lot of these newest games, they'll have these cinematic trailers, and then when we get the game, it's just straight up trash, man. Just straight up kapoop. Whereas just like, I don't know if we want to pay for a PS6 to go ahead and maybe get a game that has better graphics but a terrible story or terrible mechanics, where you could play some older games. And many people, that's what they do. Most people even gear toward playing free games, because once again, you looking at the customers and who's playing the games is young kids. Now, if they plan to take up the prices with video games now, a lot of kids are going to be like, bro, they just couldn't afford it. They're going to try to ask their parents, and they'll be like, yo, I'm not about to spend no $80 for you to play a video game. And no, you're going to have to get a job. And these little kids are like, no, I ain't getting no job right now. No, I just want to play video games, man.
You know,
or they're going to become a streamer, so they got to play. They got to make do what they play.
You know, spending $1,000, it's, you know, in for a penny, in for a pound. You might as well just keep saving and buy a, you know, high-end gaming rig or a medium-end gaming rig, and then swap out parts as needed. You know, obviously there's a bit more tinkering involved with getting on the PC side of things, but it's also, you get access to so many more games, and the games themselves are regularly cheaper. And you know, Sony, a couple console generations ago, you could count on them putting out a bunch of console exclusives. They were like, yeah, I'm buying a PlayStation, I'm getting on the ground floor with this. I know what I'm getting. It's easy to set up. It's, you know, a proven quantity, but yeah, not so much. And again, it used to be halfway through the console generation, we would see a price cut, and that would get a whole bunch more people in the door. But this time around, I mean, we saw this with last gen, as opposed to the mid-gen refresh being, oh, hey, it's a leaner and cheaper model that we launched a few years ago. Now it's like they launched the more expensive one, and maybe you get a price cut. They would do the PS4 Pro, but in this case, the PS5 got more expensive, and then we got the PS5 Pro, which, if anything, the most even
like the difference of these two, man. Looking at these two, okay, it says fidelity, and you look at like how much. What is that peak graphics experience that we want? Because you look at a lot of games that don't have the greatest graphics that we still play. You know, and it depends on the player. If you're more like, I'm a little bit more of the story rich. Like, I enjoy a nice game that I could go ahead and feel cinematic. So I ain't gonna lie, I like to go for the graphics side of it, because I like to feel all up in the game. You know, pause. But I do feel like that there's certain games that some people do play, that you have some people that will play like those indie games, and You know, where I think most people even probably care more about the frame rates of making sure that their game can keep up of when they're playing certain games, that they just don't have that it doesn't feel buggy, laggy when they're playing, or real choppy when they're playing. I think long as that's like pretty much at a hold, I think we're okay, because how much farther really can we go with graphics? It, like, what is our I don't know what our standard is. Y'all let me know what y'all standard is when it comes to like what graphics is. If you were to grab a game, what game would you say is like, we want graphics like this, or the games that I play, I need the graphics to look like this?
Killer feature of the PS5 Pro is that it makes the regular PS5 look cheaper by comparison, just by the sheer nature that it is $900, which again, it just doesn't feel like that doesn't feel like a
some folks
console
that's gonna be
price
messing around
tag.
and go all the way
And
back to the
maybe that's what we
PS4,
should
boy.
be paying for this kind of hardware, given the state of everything. But I also just don't know. It feels like a high-end electronic device rather than like a cool video game machine. That said, Sony does make those. Did you know Sony still makes Walkmen?
What?
They're MP3 players.
Uh-huh.
They make one that has an MSRP of $3,600 and $3,700. It is a $3,700 gold-plated Walkman. It's on sale now for $2,600. It comes with a
Jesus.
3-month complimentary Audible premium subscription. Who is that?
So, what? Sony made an iPad or iPod? Is that what that is? Are people still buying iPods? Do they still make iPods? They don't still make iPods. The last thing that I thought Sony was making was the tape players.
That's for like Hideo Kojima when
that's
up,
old
up
school,
late,
boy.
up late at night doing things with a credit card he's not supposed to.
That is for the Book of Eli. When walk in and you don't want to be bothered, you put that thing is, and you just go for it. I mean, like that. Yeah, who is? Hey, somebody's gonna buy it.
Absurd rockstar luxury item. I'm not gonna say that they're gonna put out a
That's when you just got the finances to be able to buy and have things,
there
man.
are people out there who will pay
That is true.
$1,000 for whatever the next thing is. I just worry that most people aren't those people.
Yeah, that's
those things are like, these things right here are for those. I don't want to say like tech junkies or anything like that, but there's some people that get these things, especially now that we're in that content creating era and review area, that people are looking for those things that has minimum distractions. So when you can get, a thing like this that's by Sony that looks like an iPod, you don't have to worry about somebody calling, interrupting you when you're working, when you're on your walk, because now so much things can lose focus, and I can see that's probably what that is, where it's those that it's targeting those that just needs to lock in without and limit as much distraction. So when they listen to their music or if they listen to an audio book, they don't have to worry about anything disrupting that. So I would believe that's who they're targeting with that. But yes, for the affordable side of just other technology that, we're like, man, you could use your phone for that. Not everybody wants to use their phone. When most people just want to use their phone, they just want to use their phone for calling and getting incoming calls. That's just how some people are, man. Especially the older generation.
Just today, we got the news that the recent PS4, PS5 release of Call of Duty Black Ops 2, which is a 16, 13-year-old game, sold 8 million copies.
Dang.
It's not even
Dang.
People are fine playing older games. People are
is true.
not getting
same, man.
games
I feel
that
them
are
on that.
taking full advantage of cutting-edge hardware. We don't need that. Like the best-selling game of the year is Mecha Chameleon, which it's not a big budget game, clearly.
That's real. Look
Nintendo
at that,
is
man.
proving that you can,
Little hide and seek, baby.
Using,
Look at that.
Lower end lifespan of the Switch 1 being proof of that. That's a glorified Android tablet. And yeah, I mean, Sony, obviously, they're in the business of selling cool consumer electronics, and Microsoft obviously wants to make a kind of consumer grade entry point to high-end PC gaming, whatever the Helix is going to be. But there will be cool games that take advantage of this power, but ultimately, like, do we even need it? I feel like there's a whole other market of maybe.
But I think that's just the thing of being a company that is known to be a creator, because that's what our thing is, man. The majority of most people's purpose is, to serve one another, and one great trait to have of when you're going into a business or you want to go ahead and start selling things that will make you that top tier of any of them. Either you're just creating, which Sony, Microsoft, Apple, they're creators, and they make things better. So then they'll create something new, and then they have this thing that when they create something new, and then they upgrade the new, where it's like, oh, you weren't done. Where it's just like, oh, we got the PS5, PS5 Pro. You got the Xbox Series X, you got the Xbox Series S, and like that. It's a big formula that a lot of businesses do. That if you stay in that area, you would never get bored in that business, man. You really wouldn't.
$500 new console are gone, but I could see there being a whole other area of just maybe it's just lower end components for cheaper. Maybe there's an appeal for that. I don't. Yeah,
that leads
I
directly
would hope
into
that
my
they
next
win. We
point,
just
which is
want that price to be
if
lower.
consumers can't afford to buy $1,000 consoles, and Sony and Microsoft either can't figure out a way to bring prices down or refuse, then everything comes crashing down. Now, the video game industry has crashed before, and it bounced back bigger and better and healthier than it had ever been. The difference is that the crash of 1983 wasn't about an affordability crisis. It was about the market being flooded with low-quality software and consumer interest drying up. They got burned one too many times by the ETs and the Pac-Man home ports. People haven't lost interest in gaming today. They want to be able to access the newest games.
100%.
But another big difference between today and 1983 is that today we have a rich 50-year library of incredible games, like Max was just alluding to. We now have the choice. You could pay $1,000 for a PlayStation 6 to have the luxury of buying the 1 or 2 releases PlayStation can manage a year, or buy an AYN Thor for $250, spin forever playing amazing older games. Okay.
Yeah.
That's my take. I want to get both of yours on that. Bo, how about you first?
Yeah, I think that's 100% right because, yes, the library of games that are available to play is
It's insane,
so
man.
vast now.
It's really insane.
And that I think is the way this generation went, and the way the next generation probably will go too, is that yes, the consoles are going to just be this. It's the Halo device, and when I say Halo, I don't mean Halo.
I like that cloud prop that you have behind
but Halo as in the high end, reaching the upper echelon of what the hardware can be. In the same way that if you look at graphics cards, there's everything from the now 5090. If you're talking about the NVIDIA 50 series, a 5090 costs it costs $2,000 at launch. It's like $4,000 now. I don't know who's buying that, but apparently people are. But also, graphics cards go all the way down to costing $200, $300, $400, and they play the same games, and it's just the graphic settings that you have to tweak. But
straight up,
to some extent, as long as the game is still playable, and yes, unfortunately, there are.
And
games
like most of the gaming, I feel like most of the gaming specs of having are really majority for like streamers and stuff. Because if you don't stream, you could really get away with playing any game on those, like, I don't want to say low tier settings or anything like that, but you could get your still experience because most people still play on their TVs. But if you're playing on monitors, that's where you want to go ahead. And many people that do play on their monitors are streamers. So they're kind of targeting toward those that are streamers because everybody wants to be a streamer. So therefore, if everybody wants to be a streamer, let's sell to the streamer. And it's the dream that any parent is or guardian is like, oh yeah, you know what? I want you to pursue your dream and I support you. I'm going to go ahead and get you this thing if it's going to help you pursue that dream of becoming a streamer, man.
They can look so bad that they are not playable. Don't get me started on the new Master Chief, not Master Chief Collection, but Combat Evolved.
Campaign Evolved.
Campaign Evolved. As long as the games still run, yeah,
I'm surprised
you can run it on lower end hardware. And I think that's why Nintendo has been so successful this generation. The Switch 2 is Nintendo's, I believe, second fastest selling console, or fastest selling and second best overall selling.
Well, the Switch is nice.
It's because it's the affordable entry point. And the nice thing, though, about the Switch 2
Couldn't
is
you
that
play that on
yes,
your
it is a
TV
lower
and
graphical point than
handheld?
the PS5 and the Series X.
Oh, look at that.
But it's not so bad as the Switch 1 because
what a
by the
amazing
end of the
design,
Switch 1's
though.
lifetime, it was getting
what amazing design.
quite to the point of it was struggling pretty bad to play some of the latest games. But the Switch 2, it does a great job. And so there's not much that you need this high-end hardware for other than making the games just look so photorealistic, or for the absolute best ray tracing.
I ain't gonna lie, this is
whatever it is
amazing.
That needs that fully,
Look
maxed
at
out
that.
settings.
Oh man.
The critical thing, though, is going to come down to developer and game optimization, because
get out.
when the hardware is really good
follows.
and it can run things easily, then developers don't have to put as much work
That's actually
into
tight.
optimizing their game. But when you look at games that the games that run the best on a massive variety of hardware, everything from super low end up to super high end, it's the stuff, it's the games that the devs have put in the optimization work to make sure that it works on that lower
it
end
has a mic
hardware
built
and
into
not
it.
only developing
Hey, I ain't
for
gonna
the
lie.
high end.
I'm not too much of a Nintendo Switch kind of person. I did play that Wii when the Wii came out. I ain't gonna lie, boy. I was on that Super Mario, boy. Yee! But, but I didn't know the Nintendo Switch was like that. I can see why people are buying it, and if it's affordable for the kids,
Max,
it's
don't you
capable of,
think
I can
Nintendo's
see
just-
why people buy it.
I mean, they've been set up for success in comparison to PS5 and Xbox Series X because they've got the much more affordable option and the best, franchise library. You were talking about PlayStation's library. It's very strong, but it's not Nintendo. It's not Mario and Zelda.
No,
right?
and
Yeah,
I mean,
man,
Nintendo's
they just got
also,
those
they're
classics.
putting out, blockbuster family films. They're opening
Ooh.
theme parks. Nintendo is shorthand for a video
Who
game
owns
console.
Blockbuster?
It's been around long enough that you're gonna, if you want to get on the ground floor with video games, that's a pretty easy place to go. Pretty straightforward.
No, straight
One
up.
thing I think they jumped on right when Sony was pulling out of this space is the handheld side of things.
Yeah, man.
And
That
speaking about
nostalgia
what a
vibe, boy.
PlayStation 6 could do that would get my attention, I honestly think if they were like, hey, we took a PS5 and we shrunk it and it's a Switch now, that would be kind of cool. It doesn't matter if it's a more powerful.
No. I still believe that for some of these consoles to survive, yes, you could dibble and dabble in other spaces, but you don't want to lose the foundation. Like, PlayStation got their foundation of just that console doing what that console does, having an exclusive. Same thing with Xbox, the war of PlayStation. It still exists. That still exists. It's supposed to be done and all that because they're giving up their exclusive. That ain't gonna ever be done. You got people that love Xbox that's like, nah, bro, Xbox for life, dog. And you got the PS5 that's like, nah, yo, screw Xbox, man. Like, y'all ain't doing nothing, man. Where now with Nintendo has always been the Game Boy handheld. That's just what they're known for. To tap in their spaces like y'all biting. And nobody wants anybody that's biting off of anybody's stuff. Like, I have a PS5 Portal. I ain't even gonna lie. I was playing it for a decent bit. And it's good to travel, but I think that the back thing was that you had to have your PS5 on just to play it. So it just be the same as we seeing Xbox have their own handheld. And I don't think they might have their own handheld or anything like that. But I think they're on that Microsoft, so they get the Steam Deck or I think this is called the Steam Deck that they get. And you play that, and right there, it's cool. It's nice, but I don't know, man. I'm not too much of a mobile game. If I do play mobile games, I might play a little bit of an app on my phone or something like that just to pass by time. But a full-blown handheld, all the way, I ain't gonna lie, I'm definitely probably making that investment with Nintendo because that's where the space that they cater toward that audience, that Game Boy just vibe. It's like that nostalgia is just dominant, man.
Just the novelty
Like they
of
got
taking
that.
games on the go
They
is
got that.
hugely appealing. And I think the success of the Steam Deck and the
Look, even he's
the
like,
ROG Ally X or whatever the various gaming handhelds, and the fact that Xbox has even dipped a toe into that market. There's definitely an appeal there, and it's kind of ironic. I bring up a $3,700 Walkman, but like Sony revolutionized the idea of portable entertainment with the original Walkman. Like they understand that people do like to have this kind of isolated experience. The thing that Nintendo is kind of brilliant about is that they realize that when you're playing stuff on a screen that's yay big, it doesn't really need to be like 4K HDR 120.
That's just their space, though, man. Xbox do have one.
When it comes down to it, that's not the that's not what makes
What's
a
it
video
called?
game fun. Like Tears
Microsoft
of the Kingdom was maybe the best game ever made, and
I didn't know
it's a Switch
Microsoft.
1
I
game.
didn't know
It's
Xbox
wild.
had one.
And the fact that the Switch 2 is as successful as
good,
it is, and it has enough horsepower that games can get ported to it and run just fine. I think we're going to see a lot of third parties kind of hovering around Switch 2 compatible games. Like you can make something like Resident Evil Requiem, which is a gorgeous next gen cutting edge game, but it still runs fine.
I think this is for
a
a little
Switch
bit.
So
like I feel like with those, the handheld devices are, in my opinion, are for the little bit of that Gen Z crowd. Where something about it is that they just have to have something in their hand when being out, man. I remember I was just out, eating with the lady, and two kids. We was at the hibachi, and they cook right in front of you. You would think that would be enough entertainment, but there was this two kids. They both had their iPad. As they're eating, they're so used to eating and watching TV that they had the iPad set up, and they're eating. Man, they're quiet as heck. You wouldn't have thought those kids was even near. And I remember even when I was training one of my clients that, as we're training, the iPad died, and our child came over, was like, "Yo, charge this up," and man, she threw a little tantrum, and I'm like, "Whoa!" And they're just used to the scrolling or doing things with their finger. It don't even matter what it is. They're just used to that screen and some kind of a button that they could go ahead, and if they don't like what they're liking, they could go ahead and switch it. They're able to play something. Like, that's just that younger crowd, that they need something in front of them to almost, like, not be present on what's going on in this hectic world. Like, I need everything just on a little screen that helps me mind my own business or to entertain me, because whatever's in front of me isn't entertaining enough. Which is kind of scary, man, that a lot of companies that I do feel, even the consoles, they know exactly who they're targeting, because that's what they know. That's what this younger generation know, boy. They know these phones and they know these handheld devices that they have to have something in their hand to keep themselves occupied, man.
Scoping projects accordingly is, I think a key thing, and the fact that Nintendo is holding down that side of the industry.
Yeah, they are, man. They really are.
Nice and reassuring. It would just be kind of cool if, I don't know, Sony and Microsoft took notes.
Oh, that's when you go with that game, Matt? I didn't know that.
Followed suit, however makes sense.
Well, viewers, listeners, in spite of all this doom and gloom, we are on the cusp of one of the most exciting months of the year for new game releases. September is absolutely stuffed with new games: Wolverine, Fire Emblem, Control Resonant, and more. So we want to know, what's your most anticipated game coming in?
Yeah, man, we got some big dog games, but yeah, man, definitely for sure the $500 console, man. It might be a wrap for that. Now, I don't know if anybody, and I think it just depends on too of what type of player you are. If you are a person that enjoys the graphics, if you need that top tier specs, or if you're even a person that likes to do reviews on consoles and stuff, if it's worth grabbing. And I like to tap into that space a little bit, but yeah, I'm not going to go ahead and be spending bill money on it. Like, it's like an extra fun thing. Like, look, if I got that extra, I might. If not, me and lady will probably take a vacation. But I mean, if it's in your budget or your spending range, or you just have it, if you have it and you just want it, hey man, by all means, I say make that investment and go ahead and enjoy. But let me know what y'all think. Do y'all think that the $500 is slowly ceasing to exist, or do you think it's going to drop back down for people to be able to afford it? Because remember, man, just we gamers, and we might have to make that standpoint and be like, look, $500 or less, and we just gotta have that as a chant. Let me know y'all thoughts, man.